absolute advantage is a situation where a country can produce a good or service using fewer resources than that of another country. In other words, it can produce more of that good or service more cheaply. They are just simply better at producing the good or service than the other country. They've an absolute advantage over them. This is best illustrated with an example. Imagine two countries who only produce cars and bicycles. They allocate the factors of production equally between these two products. This table shows that country A has an absolute advantage in the production of cars and bicycles over country B. It is just better at making cars and bicycles than country B. 6,000 as opposed to 5,000 cars and 3,600 bicycles as opposed to 1,000. The other interesting thing about this table is that total output is 11,000 cars and 4,600 bicycles. We will see later that the total output increases as countries specialise in their production. If countries allocated their resources for the production of goods and services where they only had an absolute advantage, then only countries with an absolute advantage would produce anything. But that's not the case. Most countries do actually produce some goods, even though there are lots of other countries who have an absolute advantage over them, who are more efficient at making the things than they are. This is because the theory of comparative advantage states that countries should specialise in producing goods where they have a lower opportunity cost. The theory of comparative advantage helps countries to decide how to allocate scarce resources. It helps them to decide which products to specialise in. Look at this table. Country A can produce 6,000 cars and 3,600 bicycles. Country B can produce 5,000 cars and 1,000 bicycles. So country A has an absolute advantage in both products. But by specialising in a product where they have a low opportunity cost, country B could gain from international trade, selling the product that they produce at a low opportunity cost and buying the product where they are at an absolute disadvantage. Comparative advantage, then, is where a country can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than that of a country with an absolute advantage over them. Using this example, we can calculate the opportunity cost of each country's production of cars and bicycles. For country A, this is 6,000 cars divided by 3,600 bicycles. We find that the opportunity cost of one bicycle is 1.7 cars. For every one bicycle that country A makes, they are foregoing the opportunity to make 1.7 cars. For country B, this is 5,000 cars divided by 1,000 bicycles. We find one bicycle has an opportunity cost of 5 cars for country B. So country A has an absolute advantage, but also a lower opportunity cost of making bicycles. Making one bicycle in country A costs 1.7 cars. Making one bicycle in country B costs 5 cars. So country A has a comparative advantage in bicycles. Still using the table above, if we take 3,600 bicycles and divide that by 6,000 cars, we find that one car has an opportunity cost of 0.6 of a bicycle. For country A, they have an opportunity cost of 0.6 of a bicycle for every car that they make. Whereas country B, we take 1,000 bicycles and divide that by 5,000 cars, and we find that one car in country B has an opportunity cost of 0.2 bicycles. Again, we see that country A has an absolute advantage in making cars over country B, but the opportunity cost of making a car in country A is 0.6 of a bicycle, and the opportunity cost of making a car in country B is 0.2 of a bicycle. The opportunity cost is lower in country B, therefore country B has a comparative advantage in making cars. They have a comparative advantage over country A in making cars. Even though country A is better at producing both goods, it is 1.2 times better than country B at producing cars, but it is 3.6 times better at producing bicycles. Put another way, if country A wants to produce one extra bicycle, it must forego 1.7 cars, whereas country B would need to forego 5 cars for that same decision. Now's the time that country A needs to decide what to produce, where to allocate its scarce resources on the PPF. So country A has a comparative advantage in the production of bicycles because it has a lower opportunity cost. And country B has a comparative advantage in the production of cars. Therefore, it makes sense for country A to specialise in the production of bicycles and country B to specialise in the production of cars. Looking at this diagram, we can see that country B has put all its resources into the production of cars. However, country A has decided to specialise mainly in bicycles, but still has 25% of its total production capacity in cars. This makes perfect sense for country A. It has an absolute advantage in both products. It has a comparative advantage in bicycles, but country B has a comparative advantage in cars, so country A has reduced its quantity of cars and put those resources into producing more bicycles. It makes sense from country B's point of view. It only has a comparative advantage in making cars, so puts all its resources into producing cars. From a world output point of view, car production has gone up from 11,000 cars to 13,000 cars because of the specialisation of country B, and bicycles have gone up from 4,600 cars to 5,400 cars.